Lesson 3, Jesus, the heart of the matter. Born in a humble family, attested by secular sources, he shared a human body. He was tired, hungry, thirsty. He shared human experiences. He grew up in a big family, worked for a living, and knew the force of temptation. Jesus was more than human. Jews were the last people in the world with their strict monotheism, belief in one God, to allow any human being could be one with God. And yet many were convinced he was. Why? Number one, they listened to his teaching. Nothing like it had appeared before or since. Secondly, they watched his behavior. It was utterly sinless. His own claims and the evidence of his friends, his enemies. John and onlookers also agreed, and they show us that his life was utterly unique, a moral miracle. Number three, they witnessed his miracles. If recorded of someone else, they would be bizarre. With Jesus, they fit. Never for selfish ends, never to show off. They were signs, dramatic illustrations of who he was and what God was about. Feeding the crowd, raising the dead, healing diseases, and controlling nature highlight his claims and stand or fail or fall with them. The only Christ for whom there is a shred of evidence is a miraculous figure making stupendous claims. Number four, they assessed his claims. He claimed to forgive sins, to accept worship, to be the final judge of everyone, to be the only bridge between God and humans. They could not believe he was deluded or a deceiver. Which could he be? Could he be what he claimed to be? They saw him die. He went there voluntarily. His innocence, his concern for his murderers, and the way he died convinced them he had come to give his life a ransom for the world's sin. And he was the suffering servant of God, foreshadowed in the Old Testament, that he was indeed Jesus, God the Savior. Number six, they met him after he had risen. Jesus and his followers based their convictions about him on his resurrection. The evidence is compelling. The empty tomb, all four of the Gospels have this. The resurrection appearance, the emergence of the church with its special practices of baptism and the Lord's Supper, all rooted in the resurrection and the experience of believers ever since. Jesus demands a verdict. There are only three options. He was a deceiver, or crazy, or my Lord and my God. The only thing that is not open to us is to say he was just a good man. The challenge was well understood by Pilate, though he made the wrong choice. What shall I do with Jesus? The wise response is to receive him, and so to accept that we belong in the family of God. Here's a verse to learn and memorize. Matthew 16:16, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. The Bible passage for reading and study is Philippians 2, verses 1 through 13. The following questions will aid you in your study. Number one, does this passage tell us about Jesus before his birth? 2, what does it mean that he made himself nothing and humbled himself? Look up Isaiah 45, verses 22 through 23. There it is the name of God that every knee will bow. What is that saying when it is applied to Jesus, as it is in verse 10? Number 4, What difference should be the example of Jesus make to us in practical behavior? 5. When did your knee bow and your tongue confess that Jesus is Lord? For the lesson on Jesus here are some of the books we suggest you add to your bookshelf. Richard Bowes, The Resurrection, Fact or Fiction. John Drain, Jesus and the Four Gospels. Michael Green, Why Bother with Jesus? And Val Grieve, Your Verdict.